12-year-old Jamal Carter was walking home from school when he noticed an old man wandering near the park, looking confused. The man, wearing a slightly wrinkled suit, kept checking his pockets as if searching for something. Jamal hesitated. His mother had always warned him about talking to strangers, but something about the man's lost expression made him step forward. "Sir, are you okay?" Jamal asked cautiously. The old man turned to him, his blue eyes filled with confusion. "I don't remember where I live," he muttered, his voice trembling. Jamal's heart clenched. He had seen his neighbor's grandmother struggle with Alzheimer's, and he recognized the signs. "Do you have a phone?" Jamal asked. The man pulled out a wallet stuffed with cash but no phone or ID. Jamal knew that leaving him alone wasn't an option. "Come on, sir, let's find help," Jamal said, guiding him to a nearby bench. He sat with the man for nearly an hour, asking gentle questions, trying to jog his memory. Just as Jamal was about to call 911, a security guard from a nearby store rushed over. "Mr. Whitmore, we've been looking for you," he exclaimed. The man, Mr. Whitmore, looked at the guard with a mix of relief and fear. Jamal watched as the guard helped him into a waiting taxi. "Thank you, kid," the guard said. Jamal shrugged. Anyone would have helped. But he had no idea that his kindness had just set something massive into motion. Jamal watched the taxi disappear down the street, his mind still on the old man, Mr. Whitmore. The name felt familiar, but he couldn't place it. As he walked home, his best friend Darnell jogged up beside him. "Yo, where you been? You missed the last game at the park," Darnell said, dribbling a worn-out basketball. Jamal sighed. "I found this old guy lost near the store. He had Alzheimer's or something. I had to help him." Darnell frowned. "Man, you serious? That could have been dangerous." "I don't know," Jamal said. He just looked helpless. As they reached Jamal's house, his mother, Miss Carter, was watering the small flower bed by the porch. "You're late," she said, raising an eyebrow. Jamal explained what had happened. His mother sighed and ran a hand over her face. "That was kind of you, baby, but next time be careful, okay?" Jamal nodded, but something inside him told him that this wasn't over. That night, as he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, a strange unease settled in his stomach. Why did the guard seem nervous? Why did the name Whitmore sound important? Just as he was drifting off to sleep, a distant roar of an engine echoed through the quiet street. He sat up. Headlights flashed through his window. A black luxury car, the kind he had only seen in movies, pulled up outside his house. Jamal's heart pounded. Who on earth would be coming to his neighborhood in a car like that, at this hour? Jamal peeked through the window, his breath hitching. The black luxury car idled in front of his house, its engine purring softly. The car's tinted windows made it impossible to see who was inside. His mother, Miss Carter, also noticed. She pulled back the curtains and frowned. "Who in the world?" she muttered. The car door opened. A tall man in a sleek suit stepped out, his posture stiff and professional. His sharp features and silver-streaked hair made him look important, like a businessman or even a CEO. Jamal's heart pounded as the man walked straight toward their front door. "Stay back," his mother warned, moving toward the door cautiously. Before she could say anything, the man knocked firmly, 3 times. Jamal and his mother exchanged looks before she slowly opened the door. "Mrs. Carter?" the man asked in a deep, steady voice. "Yes," she answered hesitantly. "I'm Daniel Whitmore. My father, William Whitmore, told me about your son. I believe he saved him today." Jamal's eyes widened. Whitmore, that's why the name had sounded familiar. Daniel continued, his expression unreadable. "May I come in?" Miss Carter hesitated, looking down at Jamal before nodding. She stepped aside, letting the man enter. Jamal's pulse raced. Why was a wealthy man standing in their tiny living room? Daniel looked around, then focused on Jamal. "My father doesn't remember much, but he remembers you," he said. "And that is extraordinary." Jamal swallowed hard. What was going on? Jamal sat stiffly on the couch, his mother beside him, as Daniel Whitmore took a seat across from them. The air in the small living room felt heavy with anticipation. Daniel cleared his throat. "My father, William Whitmore, has Alzheimer's," he began, his tone steady but laced with emotion. "Most days he doesn't even remember my name, but today he remembered you." Jamal's eyes widened. "Me?" Daniel nodded. He kept repeating, the kind boy helped me. He was lost and scared, but you stayed with him." Jamal looked down, feeling a mix of pride and nervousness. "I just wanted to help." A small smile appeared on Daniel's face. "That means more than you know." Miss Carter, still wary, asked, "Mr. Whitmore, why are you here?" Daniel exhaled, glancing at the modest home around him. "My father built our family's company from the ground up. Even now, he has moments of clarity where he talks about his values: hard work, kindness, and giving back." He paused, then turned to Jamal. "You showed him a kindness that even some of his closest friends don't." Jamal swallowed hard. "I didn't do it for anything in return." Daniel studied him carefully before nodding. "That's exactly why I want to offer you something." Jamal and his mother exchanged confused glances. "Tomorrow," Daniel said, reaching into his pocket, "I want you to come with me. There's something my father wants to give you." He handed Jamal a sleek black card with golden lettering. Jamal read it slowly. "Whitmore Enterprises, Executive Office." His heart pounded. What could an Alzheimer's-stricken billionaire possibly want to give him? The next morning, Jamal stood outside his small apartment, staring at the sleek black Mercedes Maybach that had just pulled up. The car was pristine, reflecting the early morning sunlight. He swallowed hard as Daniel Whitmore stepped out, dressed in an elegant navy suit. "Ready, kid?" Daniel asked with a smirk. Jamal's mother, Miss Carter, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Be respectful, Jamal," she whispered. "And remember, you don't have to accept anything if it doesn't feel right." Jamal nodded, taking a deep breath before sliding into the luxurious car. The soft leather seats felt unreal against his skin. He had never sat in anything this fancy before. As the car pulled away, Jamal couldn't help but ask, "Where exactly are we going?" Daniel chuckled. "To my father's estate. He's been waiting for you." Jamal's stomach flipped. He had helped Mr. Whitmore out of pure kindness, never expecting to see the man again, let alone be personally invited to his home. The ride was smooth, but Jamal felt every second stretch on endlessly. Finally, after nearly 30 minutes, the car turned onto a long, gated driveway. As they approached, his jaw nearly dropped. Before him stood a massive mansion, its white stone walls shining under the sun. The manicured gardens, the grand fountain in the center, and the sheer size of the estate left him breathless. "Whoa," he muttered under his breath. Daniel smirked. "Yeah, it's a lot." The car stopped, and a butler immediately opened Jamal's door. His hands were sweaty as he stepped out, feeling wildly out of place. "Come on," Daniel said, motioning for him to follow. Jamal took a deep breath and stepped toward the giant double doors of the Whitmore mansion, completely unaware that his life was about to change forever. As Jamal stepped inside the grand Whitmore mansion, his eyes widened in disbelief. The high ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and walls adorned with paintings that looked straight out of a museum left him speechless. Everything screamed wealth and power. A butler guided them to a lavish sitting room where Mr. Whitmore was waiting, dressed in a gray cardigan and slacks. His eyes lit up the moment he saw Jamal. "Son," the old man called out with a beaming smile. "I was hoping I'd see you again." Jamal smiled nervously, feeling out of place. Hi, sir. It's good to see you too." Mr. Whitmore motioned for him to sit. "Jamal, I can't stop thinking about what you did for me. In a world where most people wouldn't even stop to help, you showed me kindness when I was lost. You saved me that day." Jamal shifted uncomfortably. "It was nothing, really. No, it was everything," Mr. Whitmore interrupted, his voice firm but kind. He turned to Daniel. "Son, tell him." Daniel cleared his throat, looking directly at Jamal. "My father wants to help you. He knows your family has been struggling, and he wants to change that." Jamal blinked. "What do you mean?" Mr. Whitmore leaned forward. "Jamal, I want to sponsor your education. Any school, any program, you name it. I'll cover it all." Jamal's heart nearly stopped. "What?" Daniel nodded. "It's not charity. My father sees something special in you. You remind him of himself when he was young, ambitious, kind, and determined." Jamal's hands trembled. His mother had always dreamed of a better future for him, but they never had the means. Now, out of nowhere, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity was being handed to him. But was it too good to be true? Jamal sat frozen, his mind racing. Was this real? Just a few days ago, he had been worried about affording school supplies, and now a millionaire was offering to pay for his education. I don't know what to say," Jamal stammered. Mr. Whitmore chuckled. "Then don't say anything yet. Just think about it." Jamal looked over at Daniel. who nodded. "This is real, man. My father doesn't make empty promises. He's a man of his word." Jamal's heart pounded. This wasn't just about him. His mother had sacrificed everything to give him a shot at a better life. He thought about the long hours she worked, the bills they struggled to pay, and the dreams he had put on hold because of their financial situation. "But why me?" he asked, still trying to process it all. Mr. Whitmore smiled warmly. "Because kindness should be rewarded. The world needs more young men like you." Jamal's eyes stung. He had never expected anything in return for helping the old man. He had done it because it was the right thing to do. And now his simple act of kindness was turning into a life-changing opportunity. "I need to talk to my mom," he finally said. "Of course," Mr. Whitmore agreed. "Take your time. But Jamal, whatever your decision, know this, you deserve this chance." As Jamal left the mansion, his mind was spinning. Was this really happening? Would his mother accept this? And if she did, what would this mean for their future? As he stepped outside, a gentle breeze hit his face. For the first time in a long time, he felt something he hadn't dared to feel before: hope. Jamal rushed home, his heart pounding. How would his mother react? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But he knew his mom. She didn't trust things that seemed too good to be true. As he stepped into their small apartment, he found her sitting at the kitchen table, exhausted from her double shift. Her tired eyes softened when she saw him. "Hey, baby. You're home late. Everything okay?" "Mom, I have to tell you something," Jamal said, barely able to contain himself. "Something crazy happened today." His mother's brows furrowed in concern. "What is it?" Jamal took a deep breath and explained everything. The old man he had helped, the visit to the mansion, and Mr. Whitmore's unbelievable offer. His mother listened intently, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she folded her arms. "Jamal, this sounds too good to be true. But Mom, it's real. I met his son. They have money, like a lot of money, and he wants to help me." She shook her head. "Baby, people don't just give away money like that. What if there's a catch?" "There's no catch," Jamal insisted. He just wants to help me because I helped his father." His mother sighed, rubbing her temples. "Jamal, I've worked too hard to keep us safe. We don't take handouts." Jamal's heart sank. "Mom, this isn't a handout, it's an opportunity. This could change everything for us." Silence filled the kitchen. Then, after a long pause, his mother spoke softly. "I need to meet this Mr. Whitmore myself." Jamal's eyes widened. This wasn't a no. This was a chance. He nodded. "Okay, Mom, I'll set it up." As he went to his room, he felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. His future was hanging in the balance, and it all depended on the next meeting. The next morning, Jamal anxiously checked his phone for any messages from Mr. Whitmore's son, Daniel. He had told Daniel that his mother wanted to meet in person before making any decisions. Would they even agree? Just as doubt started creeping in, his phone buzzed. "Daniel, of course. My dad would love to meet her. I'll send a car to pick you both up this afternoon." Jamal took a deep breath. This was really happening. When the black luxury sedan pulled up outside their apartment, his mother hesitated at the door. She adjusted her coat, looking at Jamal. "If I feel anything is off, we leave. Got it?" Jamal nodded. "Got it." As they drove through the wealthier part of town, his mother's eyes darted around, taking in the massive homes. She was clearly uncomfortable, but kept quiet. The moment they arrived at the mansion, Mr. Whitmore and Daniel were already outside waiting. Mr. Whitmore, dressed in a navy sweater and slacks, smiled warmly. "You must be Jamal's mother. It's wonderful to meet you." She shook his hand cautiously. "I appreciate you inviting us, but I need to understand exactly what's going on here." "Of course," Mr. Whitmore said kindly. "Let's talk inside." As they stepped into the grand living room, Mr. Whitmore got straight to the point. "Your son's kindness to me, when I was lost and confused, meant more than I can explain. I want to help him. A scholarship, mentorship, whatever he needs to succeed." Jamal's mother folded her arms. "And what do you expect in return?" "Nothing," Mr. Whitmore said without hesitation. "I just believe in rewarding good people." She studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she exhaled. "You're really serious about this?" Mr. Whitmore smiled. "Completely." Jamal held his breath, waiting for her decision. After another moment, she turned to Jamal. "If this is what you want, then I trust you." Relief flooded Jamal's chest. The opportunity of a lifetime was finally within reach. Jamal sat in the grand living room, his heart pounding. He had never imagined being in a place like this, let alone being offered something so life-changing. His mother, still skeptical, leaned forward. "A scholarship is a big thing. You don't even know my son that well. Why are you doing this?" Mr. Whitmore smiled warmly. "Because I know good character when I see it. Your son didn't just help me. He showed patience, kindness, and respect when I needed it most. That kind of heart deserves a chance to flourish." Jamal's mother glanced at him. She had worked tirelessly to provide for him, but opportunities like this were rare. "And this scholarship, what does it cover?" Daniel, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Everything. Tuition, books, housing. We also have connections to internships and mentorship programs that could set Jamal up for an incredible future." Jamal's eyes widened. "Wait, this isn't just for high school." Mr. Whitmore chuckled. "No, son, this is for college. If you work hard, we'll support you all the way." Jamal felt his world shift. College? A future beyond just getting by? His mother finally leaned back, exhaling deeply. "Jamal, this is your decision." He turned to Mr. Whitmore, emotions overwhelming him. "Sir, I don't even know how to thank you." "You don't have to," Mr. Whitmore said, smiling. "Just promise me one thing. When you're in a position to help someone else, pay it forward." Jamal nodded, eyes filled with determination. This wasn't just a gift, it was a responsibility. Just then, Daniel clapped his hands. "All right, now that we've settled that, who's hungry? Dinner's on us." Jamal couldn't believe it. A few days ago, he was just a kid trying to help an old man. Now his future looked brighter than ever. Jamal sat at the long dining table, still trying to process everything. The grand chandelier overhead cast a warm glow, and the scent of roasted chicken and fresh bread filled the air. He wasn't used to meals like this. Most nights, dinner at home was whatever his mom could afford after a long shift. As they ate, Mr. Whitmore asked about Jamal's dreams. "What do you want to do in life, son?" Jamal hesitated. No one had ever really asked him that. I don't know. I just want to do something meaningful." Mr. Whitmore nodded. "That's a good answer. And with the right education, you'll have the tools to figure it out." Jamal's mother spoke up. "I always tell him education is the key, but sometimes life makes things difficult." Mr. Whitmore gave her a knowing look. "Believe me, I understand. My own childhood wasn't easy either." Jamal's curiosity sparked. "You weren't always rich?" Mr. Whitmore chuckled. "Not even close. I grew up in a small apartment with 5 siblings. My parents worked day and night just to keep food on the table. I had to fight for every opportunity I got." Jamal leaned in, fascinated. "So how did you make it?" Mr. Whitmore's expression turned serious. "One person believed in me. A teacher saw my potential and helped me get a scholarship. That changed everything. Without that, I wouldn't be sitting here today." Jamal absorbed his words. It was all coming full circle. Just like Mr. Whitmore's teacher had helped him, now he was passing that kindness on to Jamal. As dinner wrapped up, Mr. Whitmore placed a firm hand on Jamal's shoulder. "This is your chance, son. Make the most of it." Jamal nodded. He didn't know exactly what the future held, but one thing was clear. His life would never be the same. The next morning, Jamal woke up in his small bedroom, feeling like everything that had happened the day before was a dream. But as he rubbed his eyes and stretched, the sound of a car engine idling outside caught his attention. He peeked through the window and froze. A sleek black luxury car was parked right in front of his house, the same one that had picked him up yesterday. His mother, hearing the commotion, joined him at the window. "Jamal, what's going on?" Before he could answer, a knock sounded at the door. Jamal rushed to open it. There stood Mr. Whitmore, smiling, with an envelope in his hand. "Good morning, Jamal," he said warmly. "I hope you're ready for a new chapter in your life." Jamal's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" Mr. Whitmore handed him the envelope. "Open it." With trembling fingers, Jamal tore it open. Inside was a letter, an official acceptance into one of the best private schools in the city. Fully paid, a scholarship. Jamal's breath hitched. I don't know what to say." His mother clutched her chest, tears forming in her eyes. "Oh my God, Jamal, this is incredible." Mr. Whitmore smiled. "You earned this. Your kindness, your heart, you deserve every opportunity. I wanted to do for you what someone once did for me." Jamal was speechless. All he had done was help an old man who needed him, and now his entire future had changed. Mr. Whitmore gestured toward the car. "Come on." Let's take you to see your new school." As Jamal stepped forward, he realized something profound. Kindness had the power to change lives, and today it had changed his. If this story inspired you, remember, small acts of kindness can change lives in ways you never expect. What would you have done in Jamal's place? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe in the power of kindness, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that will touch your heart.